Hello everyone, Mr. MC here. It's been a while since I've made one of these videos, but it's good to be back. For today's video, we're going to be taking a look at what happened in round 6 of the Nations Cup. And this was I guess you could say a meme race, as this is the Mazda Rosa Touring Car 1-week race at Alsace Test Course, which is a tiny track. It's going to be really difficult to get any sort of moves done here unless if you're really aggressive, and because of that, trying to get a good qualifying time is going to be really important in this race. So right now we're starting the qualifier session. Just gonna wait to let everyone go before I go ahead and start to do my qualifying times alone and in peace, so I don't have anyone interrupting me. But unlike the other Nations Cup races, this race actually has a shorter qualifier round, so this is an 8-minute qualifier versus 10 in most of the other races. And while it is a shorter track, we're still going to have plenty of chances to try to get the best qualifying time possible, and we're definitely going to need all of those chances because it's really difficult to try to get the best qualifying time here. And this is one of those combinations where you have to nail everything down to try to get the best qualifying time possible. Any little mistake and you leave yourself wide open to get dived on in the race or to get a worse qualifying position in the qualifying session. So I'll go ahead and show you my best qualifying lap, and this was actually my best qualifying lap from the 2 time slots I did. So this was in slot 2, what you're seeing right now. So bringing yourself towards the left side of the track and braking with a curb on the left starts. Just trying to force the car to rotate around this turn by going down to second gear and trying to quickly get on the throttle to try to start to gain some speed right away. Then here comes the roller coaster part of the track, braking at the 50-meter board, doing lots of trail braking, trying to get yourself set up for the next left turn, and you're pretty much just going to send it, which is pretty terrifying as you're going down the hill, taking advantage of the entire width of the track, even having the car do a little jump, and you have to be really careful about that. Braking at the 50-meter board, trying to not go too wide but trying to maintain as much speed as possible. A lot easier said than done. I think that final bank turn gave me a lot of trouble. Gonna get a 50.399, which was good for second place, but the other fast guys haven't set their best laps yet, so yeah, that's not going to stay up there for that long, and it's only going to be good for 8th place. And the thing is that with a short track like this, or with a combination like this, the qualifying times are going to be really close. So you can see first place to 6th place was only 0.2 of a second apart, or 2.5 of a second apart. Then there's me, just 3.5 of a second apart from myself in first place. Because I'm starting in 8th place, so starting in the middle of the pack, I'm actually going to start on the hard tires, and I'm going to go for a 2-stop. So I'm only going to do 1 lap on the sports hard tires, which they're dreadful. But anyways, moving on over towards the race. There's a ridiculous trick that I found out through a friend of mine when it comes to grid starts, which kind of makes them pointless. The best way to do a grid start, and this is especially for cars with poor grid starts, is to press the options button. So you press the options button, the AI is going to give you the best start ever, and then you just press continue and off you go. So you get the cheesiest start ever, keeping up with Robert Heck on the left, who is on the sports soft tires, and I'm on the sports hard tires, until you go through turn 1 or 2 technically. But anyways, already things are starting to kick off a bit, and I'm going to try my best to keep up with them, but I have to be really careful on these cold sports hard tires. It feels like I'm driving on ice, and I just need to be really careful as I'm struggling on these sports hard tires for just 1 lap. But apparently I'm not careful enough, as the car is going to step out and I'm going to end up going into the wall, going to end up getting damaged, and that's really going to hurt my progress and kind of just ruin my race right there at the very start. Someone unfortunately joined me in ruining their own race, and I'm going to try to be really careful making my way back into the pit stop, as I still have damage, and the sports soft tires, they just have zero grip, almost hitting the wall because of the damage and the cold no grip tires. I feel like I was driving on ice, or my wheels were made of ice. But anyways, get the required sports tires out, get rid of them for good, and go ahead and switch over to the sports soft tires, and now I can really start to push. And at this point, it's pretty much just me just trying to salvage whatever I can after ruining my own race. And I will say that this race was actually a bit of an interesting one because the pit loss is really short, something like 12-13 seconds. And with the sports soft tires being around 2 seconds a lot faster than the sports hard tires, you're actually better off doing 2 stints on the sports soft tires, so splitting them up, so 9 to 10 laps each, and then doing 1 lap on the sports hard tires. And yeah, you really didn't want to stay on the sports hard tires for that long because they just offered so little grip. You were basically defenseless whenever you were on that stint, so you just want to put them off for 1 lap, get the requirement out of the way, and then drop them like a bad habit. But anyways, going back into the race, and oh my goodness, I don't even know what's going on with me right here. I was just all over the place going into turn 2. Yeah, this was not my race. I was already getting pretty flustered with what happened at the first lap, bidding it on the sports hard tires, and then just now losing even more time through a really bad entry. And yeah, this was a bad entry as well right here into the roller coaster. Just kind of just all over the place, so I need to try to regain my cool and then start to work my way up, if I can even work my way up to begin with. Yeah, so with this track or this combination, you really didn't want to make any errors, because if you made a little error, someone who is behind you can really take advantage of you. They'll just hound on you, and you risk losing a lot of positions, especially if there's a bunch of cars grouped together. But luckily in my case, it's kind of just me and Crocodile Blip in 10th place, just up ahead, and I'm going to slowly make my way towards him, taking about 2 laps to get to him, so it did take a bit of time, so I can end up being at his rear bumper. And now comes the hard part where I need to try to find a way to get past him, and trying to get it past done at All Sauce test course is not the easiest thing ever. Really easy to defend your spot, and luckily Crocodile is gonna just yield the spot, so he's gonna go ahead and just try to make this pass fast and clean, not battle out too much. And there you go, so up 1 position, but I still need to make up at least 2 spots so I can finish where I started. And Crocodile actually just hanging out right behind me. Gonna try to get a good entry into turn 2, and kinda got it. Not the best entry, but I mean, it's better than the one where I almost binned it and honking for no reason. But anyway, skipping over towards the end of lap 10, gonna go ahead and do my second pit stop, switching over to a new set of sports soft tires. I already did my hard stints, so I don't need to worry about those anymore. Just go into soft tire compound and keep pushing. So yeah, I do lose another 12 seconds, 12 to 13 seconds, but the sports soft tires are just that good. They are so good that you're better off doing 2 stints on them instead of doing a 1 stop. But anyway, skipping over towards the end of lap 15, start of lap 16, a whole bunch of nothing has been going on. It's been a bit of a boring drive, except for the blue car up in front is going to get a really bad entry into turn 1 and get tossed into the walls of turn 2, into the grass. Almost what happened to me earlier in the race, except unfortunately he's going to get the worst end of it. But skipping over towards the middle of lap 19, the leaders are switching over from their sports hard stint to their sports hard stint, so they're only doing 1 lap on those tires, and I am way too far back to be able to catch up to them, even though they're going to be going around 2 seconds a lap slower than I am, as I'm on the sports soft tires. And actually there is someone in the pit stop, so I'm going to go up a position, get it passed down through the pit stop, and well, that's kind of going to be it for this race. A really frustrating 8th place finish from the lap 1 error. I think I probably could be fighting for 5th or 4th place, but it's going to be really hard to know from that error I made earlier in the race. Which means I have to go on over to slot 3, and hopefully I'm able to do much better. I'm hoping to get a top 5 finish, and if I complete that, then I'll just call it a day. So gonna go ahead and quickly show the qualifying session, which in this one I wasn't able to get close to my qualifying time from the first slot. So in that one that was a 50.3, in this one I was only able to get a 50.446, so actually a little bit slower than my first qualifying time, and gonna be right behind Andre Saf, who has a 50.391. So this is definitely not going to be an easy race. Gonna really need to work for first place and hopefully get first place. So this time I'm going to be starting on the sports soft tires, and I'm not going to cheese the start this time. Just do TC at 1 with the handbrake, and off we go. Get a alright start, get a little closer to first place, but it's not going to be enough to go for a move right away. Did try to poke a little bit in, but it just wasn't going to work. So Andre is actually going to get a slightly faster exit than me out of turn 2. Now this is where it's going to get pretty difficult, because I need to find a way to pressure Andre into an error and then just try to squeeze on through as fast as I can. But I do have third place right on my tail, so I do need to keep that in mind. So I'm basically attacking and defending at the same time. So it's going to be really difficult to try to force others into an error while trying not to get forced into an error myself. So a bit of multitasking going on in here, and I need to make sure that I don't make an error, because I'm definitely going to get hounded on, at least by one car. There's probably going to be more that are going to take advantage of me. It's actually another car right behind Doctor, who's in third place. But I do need to try to push a little bit so I can get a little closer to Andre to really put the pressure on him. Except the Doctor is going to have other plans, going to end up bumping me aside, and now we're going to be going down too wide into the roller coaster, and I actually have to brake to make sure that I don't bend it myself. Gonna get a poor exit out of the roller coaster, and now the Doctor's right behind me. Mani in fourth place is right behind the Doctor and myself. Gonna go too wide into the Banky boy. Mani is gonna follow the Doctor on the shorter line, and I'm gonna get shuffled down from second place to fourth place. So a really frustrating start to the race, and I really need to try to find my way back into second place so I can start to make my way towards first place. Except now we're going 3 wide, almost 3 wide, into the second turn. So now there's just a bunch of fighting going on between us all. Now it's a 5-car group for second place, and all that shenanigans is actually giving Andre a pretty healthy gap. So I think he has around a 2-second gap between himself and second place. So that little bit of fighting really hurt us all, and it's gonna be really frustrating, because if we start to fight it out even more, then Andre is gonna build up just enough of a gap to where he's going to have a pretty comfortable win. And I need to be really careful about where I choose to battle, and if I can even battle at all. I need these guys to make an error and then just try to squeeze on through as fast as I can. Second place is actually going to get a really nasty entry into turn 2. Third place is going to slow down so much I can just squeeze past the both of them and just look behind me, and I definitely do not want to be in that group, and I want to get the heck away from them, because that spells disaster for the upcoming turn, the roller coaster turns. But luckily that big group, they're just far away from me to where I don't have to worry too much about them, because they're about to murder each other going down the roller coaster turns. So I'm just going to try to stay as far away from them as they're going too wide into, oh my goodness, someone just bended over there. Luckily I was able to avoid all that, and all that fighting actually gave me a pretty good gap between myself and them. Don't have to worry about them at all now, and now it's time to really try to focus on getting the best laps possible to catch up to first place, and it is not going to be an easy task, because I'm already a little over 2 seconds behind first place, and that's just from all the fighting that happened earlier on in the race. So now at this point I cannot afford to make any more big mistakes, because I am pretty much on the verge of either being able to catch up to first place just enough, or if I make a big mistake, then he's definitely going to get the win. And again, it's going to be a pretty tall order because he's a little over 2 seconds away from me from all the battling that happened earlier in the race. So I need to try to get either really fast times or try to get really consistent times to where any little bits of mistakes that he makes, small errors, for example, if he makes small errors, that's eventually going to add up and I'm able to catch up to him that way. So after we complete turn 2, the time should be a bit more accurate. There we go. So a little over 2 seconds behind Andre Sav, skipping over towards the end of lap 9. I've barely made any progress, but I'm actually going to stay another lap out, so I would have pitted with him, but I wasn't so sure where I was going to exit because the last thing I want to do is exit behind traffic or exit with traffic, because then that means I have to battle them out and I'm going to lose more time. And because most people are pitting lap 9 or 10 being the latest, then I know for sure if I pit at the end of lap 10, then the chance of coming across anyone as I exit the pit stop is pretty much going to be 0%. So just going to do one more lap. The front left tire just barely hanging on for dear life. Luckily the tires last just 10 laps. I mean, you could do 11 or 12 laps if you're really tire saving, but for most of us it's around 10 laps. That's the duration of how long the soft tires will last. Quickly skip through the pit stop sequence, switching over to a new set of sport soft tires, and somehow I ended up getting 0.4 of a second on Andre Sav. So I'm honestly not too sure what happened because I looked at the replay and he wasn't going slow or anything. So kind of strange, not too sure what happened right there. But skipping over towards the end of lap 13, made a little bit of progress catching him to first place, and I'm actually going to get the same exact fastest lap as, well, the fastest lap from Andre himself. So we both have the fastest lap, kind of interesting to note. And I want to say it's around here where I started to make more and more progress in catching up to Andre, and it's been a pretty hard one, really trying to work for it, as he's been able to get pretty good lap times overall, and he's just making it a living hell for me to catch up to him. But I want to say around here, this is where I started to catch up to him, now 1.4 seconds behind him. You can see he's kind of starting to go a little wide through some of these turns, gaining another 1/10 of a second right there, getting a slightly better line off of the final turn. Another 50.6, so really consistent lap time, so things are looking good for me so far. Just got to be really careful through this turn right here. Really easy to mess it up, and actually kind of just made a little bit of an error. 1.2 seconds behind, so it looks like he kind of messed up a little more than I did. Skipping over towards the start of lap 17, and time is quickly running out, only have 4 laps left. So I need to really catch up to him now, otherwise I'm never going to be able to have a chance to fight for first place. He's actually going to get a slightly messy exit out of turn 2, so I'm going to catch up a little bit more to him. So now a little over a second behind him, so there has been some progress made, but I need to make even more progress, well, now, or I should have made progress 5 laps ago at this point. But oh my goodness, he's almost going to lose it, but that big moment for him was enough for me to be able to catch up to him and pass him, as I was able to get a much better exit to him out of the roller coaster turns. And now it's really on. I need to try to make sure I don't make any mistake. I need to make sure that I don't creak the door open, because if I creak the door just open just enough, he's going to get the crowbar and pretty much just pry the door open and just let himself in. So I need to make sure I don't mess up to not give him a chance of trying to retake first place. And he's actually right on my rear bumper, and I probably should have gone defensive, but luckily he didn't go for any dives or anything like that. He didn't go into offensive, so I guess I was pretty lucky, if I'm honest with you, right there. Gonna get a slightly faster exit out of the roller coaster turns. I need to try to make sure that I nail down all these turns to make sure that he has 0 chance of trying to make a move on me. gonna bring my gap up between myself and him to around half a second, so definitely no room to breathe just yet. He is still pretty much just breathing down my back. Need to make sure that I don't mess anything up, especially this turn right here. Really easy to mess it up. Just trying to nail down this turn, kind of do an alright job at this turn right here, but he is still hanging out right behind me, still a little over half a second behind me. And here comes the roller coaster turn again. Just gotta be really careful here, especially as my front left tires are starting to die on me. Just be really careful there. Don't take too much of a risk. And don't forget, I still need to do another pit stop, and Andre also needs to do another pit stop as well. So we're gonna have the awkward moment of slowing ourselves down over here at the final turn to make sure that we go into the pit stop as safely as possible, not to pick up a 3-second penalty by crossing the yellow lines. There we go. Go ahead and switch over to the sports hard tires. No need to refuel, even though the fuel is at a pretty high ×5, but this track is pretty short, so fuel is actually not an issue at all. Switching over towards the sports hard tires, and here comes the final lap where I need to be super careful on the sports hard tires, as these tires are so cold and they have so little grip. It feels like I'm driving on ice. It's gotta be really careful. Any little mistake is going to be made into a big mistake, and that's where Andre is gonna be able to take advantage of me. Just be really careful through the roller coaster turns. I have to be super careful, even more so because I've been in the last race. Almost stepped out a bit right there, and now I can breathe just a little bit more. Just one more turn. Just gotta be really careful through here, as the car is going to understeer a ton. You gotta be really careful on the throttle to make sure I don't step out at the exit of the turn. You can even hear me complaining about the understeer, and just like that, I was able to win this race, come home with a first place finish. Really had to work for the win in this race after the shenanigans that happened at the start of the race. But yeah, really difficult race, I'm not gonna lie. But at the end, I was able to take home first place, and that was definitely a great way to end the night. But a few days later, or almost a week later after this race happened, it was still a pretty fun race, or fun races, since I did 2 time slots. Bit of frustrating moments here and there, but at the end I had a lot of fun doing this race. But that is going to be it from me. Hopefully you guys liked this video, and if you did, you can press the like, subscribe, and all that good stuff. And I do have a membership program thing that you can check out down below if you want to further support this channel. Really helps keep the channel running. And this is Mr. MCA, the world's most okay player, and I'll see you in the next video.